Good morning, everyone. It is Sunday, April 12th, and it is about 11:15, and I'm about to start another session in the technique I call scanning, Sqanning, which is sort of like scanning the body. What we're doing is scanning the body for tension. Just use a cue to kind of distinguish it as a technique which sets itself apart in many ways. But the process we use in scanning is what I call the incremental release of muscular tension. That's all we're going to be doing here. Excuse me, I'm going to adjust the light for a second. All we're going to be doing in this session is repeating that basic process, the incremental release of muscular tension. That's it. This technique is designed to be simple, easy to learn, easy to practice anytime, anywhere. All we're doing, you can leave now. I've told you the whole secret. The incremental release of muscular tension. Demonstration. Make a fist. On my count, release. 3, 2, 1, release. That's it. We're going to be using the hands as a metaphor for what we want to happen in the entire body. But what I want you to think about before we start this session is that scanning is a process which involves sensation, feeling. We're trying to move away from thought and rationalization, and we're trying to move into a zone where we are feeling. Think or feel, think or feel. It's hard to do both at the same time. It's possible. I think geniuses like, I'm an actor, so I think of people in my profession, Meryl Streep are geniuses because they're capable of inducing great emotion, but she's also incredibly smart. Most of us tend to operate in one zone or the other. We're either thinking or we're feeling. And they tend to overlap, but if you're more in a feeling zone, you're not necessarily thinking so clearly. And when you're more in a thinking zone, you're not necessarily as in touch with your feelings. So in this session, and in all my sessions on scanning, what we're trying to do is to move into a feeling zone, sensation zone. I call the process of scanning a very sensual process because what we're doing over the course of this half hour, possibly more, is increasing your awareness of your physical being. We're working to heighten your awareness of the sensations of your body, how your body feels, how you breathe, how your heart beats, how your blood courses through your body, how the muscles feel when they relax versus how they're tense. We're really tuning in to how we feel. To use the cliche, we're getting in touch with ourselves. That's this entire process. So the technique is very, very simple. I'm going to show it to you now. You'll be done. You can leave or you can stick around because I'm going to be basically doing it, repeating it, and talking about it for the next 30 minutes. The process is this. Scanning is the incremental release of muscular tension. We want to gently move ourselves into a direction of deep relaxation. We don't want to scream at our body, relax, because that makes you tense up. We want to gently persuade or coax, gently incrementally release muscular tension. And the body's like a big truck. It's hard to get moving initially if you're pushing it, if the engine's dead, but once you get it going, it starts to have momentum. So if we can introduce the concept of relaxation to the body, or as I like to say, reintroduce it because we've just lost touch with it, at some point your body will start to take over. So this is just a gentle coaxing, a simple, non-strenuous way to reintroduce yourself to the concept and sensations of relaxation. That's all we're doing. And this is how we do it. Clasp your hands together in front of you, and I always remind people my elbows are on an armrest in my chair, so my hands are up here, and that makes it easy for me to demonstrate to you, but you can easily rest your hands in your lap, that's fine. What I want you to do now, what we're going to be doing now, is heightening awareness. That's this whole technique, heightening awareness of what's going on in your body. So what I want you to do is gently clasp your hands together and concentrate, bring your full awareness to what it feels like to contract the muscles of your hands. It takes effort. You have to think about it. You have to keep doing it. It won't just stay there. If you stop, it'll let go. But that's contraction. Muscles can either contract or release. So again, simplicity. Contract the muscles of your hand, and on my count, I want you to completely release that grip and pay very, very close attention to what it felt like to move from contraction to expansion. 3, 2, 1, release. Deep breath. And sit with that feeling and heighten your awareness of the sensations of release. Presumably, if you're interested in this technique, it's because you feel as though instinctively you could benefit from relaxation. And we all could. Because what's happened is we've gotten away from it. So this technique brings you what I call home again, to yourself, to your body. And the way we do that is by paying attention to sensations that we have, for whatever reason, maybe because we're living in a pandemic, put aside. So pay attention to that feeling. That's the entire technique. Now you'll notice as soon as I released, I took a deep breath. That's because the moment I did that, my body almost came to attention and went, wait, something's going on here. We're changing course, we're relaxing. And the body takes that as an opportunity to replenish itself, because in a subtle way, we hold our breath all day. We're always prepared. So your body will say, breathe now, and you go, and I want you to focus on that impulse, because you're going to be getting that a lot. As we progress down this new path away from tension and into release, your body will send you messages to keep going. Yes, I like this. This feels good. Part of that process is taking a deep breath. So whenever you feel the impulse, take a deep breath. Let's start again. Clasp the hands together. Pay very close attention to what it feels like to contract your muscles. You can only do one of two things, muscles, contract or release. So now we're contracting. Complete focus on what that feels like. On my count, you're going to completely release, and you're going to pay attention, close attention to what that feeling of release feels like, and allow that feeling of release to pass through your entire body. 3, 2, 1, release. Deep breath. And sit in that feeling and pay attention to what it feels like. 15 seconds. Deep breath. Now, if you stick around for the whole session, you'll notice I talk a lot more and a lot faster at the beginning of the session than I do at the end. Because part of this process is shutting up the mind, slowing down, being, not doing, not explaining, being. I like to say that my ideal session would be logging on and sitting in stillness and quiet, and sharing that experience with you, as you did the same with me. Because instinctively, we know what it means to relax. Letting go. Going to zero, going to nothing, just being. But if you're anything like me, you have to go through all kinds of machinations and rationalizations to get there. But once you're there, it makes total sense. There's nothing else that needs to be done. Sit and heighten your awareness of your body, of just being. The beating of your heart. Concentrate. What does it feel like? Deep breath. And that's it. Think or feel. Today, for this half hour, we're going to concentrate on feeling. And I don't mean emotions, although emotions may come up. I mean sensation. Paying very close to the sensations of your body. Because that's what we've lost touch with. What it's like to just be. Deep breath. These sessions, in a way, are counterintuitive because I'm just like you. I go to the internet to find something to do, to read, to stimulate myself, to bring sensation into my body. But what I'm trying to achieve with these sessions is the opposite: to remove all stimulus to come to nothing, to zero, to just be. So someone coming into this session after I've maybe explained a little bit might say, there's nothing going on here. What is he doing? What is he teaching? I'm teaching you to do nothing. I'm not teaching you. You know everything I talk to you about, you know. I'm just reminding you what I have to remind myself every day, that there is great value in doing nothing. And just being. It's a relief to not have to be processing stimulus, to not have to be creating, constructing, contracting. It's a relief. And we don't give ourselves enough permission to go to that place. I'm giving myself permission. I'm inviting you to join me. I can't give anyone permission to do anything, but I can give permission to myself. And if that encourages you to give yourself permission, then I'm glad. Man. So while I will start out each session with a technique, that technique is what I like to call the finger pointing at the moon. If I'm looking for the moon, and the finger indicates where the moon is, and I see the moon, I can put the hand down. We'll start out with a technique, but as soon as I can abandon that technique, once I'm home to that place of still, quiet nothingness, that's it. That's the goal. And I invite you to join me. People say, is it meditation? Well, I say, I guess you could consider it a form of meditation. Meditation implies a process. It implies doing something. And my technique is a doing something. But ultimately, this technique is the technique that aims to be no technique. It aims to just allow you to be free of any overlay. This is not Larry doing X, Y, or Z. This is just Larry just being. There's nothing you need to memorize. There's nothing you need to learn. There's no routine you need to practice. You're just giving yourself permission to be. 15 seconds. Pay attention to what you're feeling in your body. Deep breath. Excuse me. Morning. And if you're anything like me, you'll begin to feel the muscles release and relax because the body is suddenly aware that there's no place you have to be. There's nothing you need to do. There's nothing you need to think. There's no website you need to go to. There's no drink you need to drink or food you need to eat. You're content and complete and fulfilled in just being. In every session, I say the same thing. I'm a little embarrassed because as I get deeper into the process, what starts to happen is I forget I'm so quote unquote teaching a class because that doesn't seem so important to me anymore. Because I found I do this because it's fulfilling to me to share this with you. But I found such fulfillment in just being that I forget all my obligations. Now I'll come back to that, but I'm just saying that's the experience I have. But let's start again with the basics. What we're doing is we're using the hands as a metaphor for what's going on in your entire body. We're gripping. That's the state of tension. And on my count, you're completely releasing and paying very close attention to what the sensation of release feels like as you let that sensation pass through your entire body. 3, 2, 1, release. Completely release. Deep breath. Now sit for 30 seconds. And explore and register and pay attention to what that nothingness feels like. So in that space of stillness and quiet and nothingness, you lose all titles, you lose all accomplishments, you lose all savings, you lose all obligations. You set everything by the wayside so that you can just be. And when you're in that place, that's a good time to, as you're mentally exploring, as you're increasing the awareness of your body, that's a good time to go on an exploration of sorts and search out areas of tension in your body. I always find my neck to be particularly tense. So in that moment of quiet, concentrate on that muscular tension and then do your own incremental release on the count of 3, thinking of your neck. 3, 2, 1, release. Incremental, tiny bit. Doesn't matter how much it is, tiny bit. Any amount is moving you in the direction towards relaxation and release. So don't judge if you're succeeding or not in this process. You've already chosen to begin this process. You won. Find another area of tension in your body, perhaps your back. 3, 2, 1, release. The tiniest amount. Your face. 3, 2, 1, release. Whenever you feel the impulse to take a breath, do. We're trying to sync up with our body. If our body tells us to breathe, take a breath. Find another area. Your feet. 3, 2, 1, release. Your neck again. 3, 2, 1, release. Your entire body. 3, 2, 1, release. And again, the entire body. 3, 2, 1, release. 15 seconds. Explore what that feels like. Register it. So we start with the hands because it's a simple, direct approach. Contract, release. Let that sensation pass through your body. But in the moment of stillness, the third step in this process, you can begin to explore other areas of your body and introduce incremental release into each of those areas. Now, in the more advanced forms of this process, and I say advanced for me, each of you will have your own spin on this, your own customized version of doing this. I have 8 zones of the body which I concentrate on. 1, the face. 2, the top of the head. 3, the back of the head. 4, the neck. 5, the shoulders. 6, the front of the body. 7, the back and into the pelvis. 8, the legs and into the feet. So when you get to a place where you feel like you're really tuned into where your body is, you can begin cycling through those different zones. And you can pick your own. But the point is, it's as if you have a tiny little hammer. And the body is a big block of granite. And you're not going to be able to break up that block of granite with that little hammer with just a couple of strokes. But if you tap, 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 over time, you'll begin to chip away at that big block of granite, which is us, this solid contraction, until finally it will just disintegrate. So you have to validate and give value to the tiniest amounts of muscular release. If I say to you on the count of 3, I want you to reduce the tension in your body by 0.5%. 3, 2, 1, ready, release. See, we all have the ability to do that. We have so much more control over our bodies than we're even aware. All this technique does is reacquaint you with your own skills, your own abilities, because we've gotten away from it. We tend to look for solutions in life through contraction. Everything in life is either a contraction or an expansion. Most of what we deal with, the material things in our life, are contractions. They're the assemblage of materials, ideas, concepts to create a structure that we use or take advantage of in our life. Our clothing, our thoughts, our ideas, these are all things which were put together as a structure. The opposing force in life, there's either that or expansion, contraction or expansion. Expansion being to relax, to release, to clear our minds, to let go of structure. And these ideas are not my own. These ideas are from a man named Thaddeus Golas, Golas, who wrote a book called The Lazy Man's Guide to Enlightenment. I highly recommend you read it. It's about a 90-page book. But he basically breaks down all of life into those two concepts, contraction or expansion. And we need both. But we also need balance in our life. If we become too contracted, that limits us. If this is a person who's too contracted and this is a person who's too contracted, look, they can't work together. They can't accomplish anything because they've withdrawn too deeply into their own structure. If you expand, then you can merge with others. You can work successfully in life. You can embrace life. So all this technique of scanning does is move us back in the direction of expansion, because it is my suggestion, my thinking, and you can agree or disagree, that we tend to go more towards contraction because we try. We're always trying. God bless us, we're humans. We're trying to succeed. We're trying to be happy. But we tend to start to think that everything we need is outside of us. The process of expansion is releasing, letting go of all the external, opening up and coming back to ourselves, where the true source of our inspiration is. So all this is doing is bringing balance back to you. Not eliminating structure. We need structure. Just bringing balance. And we start fundamentally by contracting, registering what that feels like. Again, this process is 90% about awareness. And on my count, you're going to completely release that contraction and pay very close attention to what it feels like as it passes through your body. 3, 2, 1, release. Deep breath. And as you exhale, you're transporting even more tension out of your body. And now sit for 15 seconds and pay very close attention to the sensations you're experiencing as a result of that release. Deep breath. Another 15 seconds. And in those moments of stillness and quiet, what you'll want to do is, as I said, focus intently on the sensations in your body. I always start with the beating of my heart. And then I move it into the circulating of my blood. And by that I mean a slight throbbing sensation I begin to have in my feet and hands, arms, face, head, as the blood flow increases, as the blood vessels expand and release. And if you're feeling that throbbing, that's a very good indication that your body is expanding, that you're opening up. So encourage that. Deep breath. 15 seconds. And now that you've heightened your awareness of your body, I want you to find, through exploration, a pocket or area of your body where you feel particular tension. Concentrate on that tension, and on your own count, 3, 2, 1, release the smallest amount of that tension. Incremental release. I'm focusing on my neck. 3, 2, 1, release. You're just sending little messages, very tiny instructions to your body. 3, 2, 1, release. Deep breath. Find another area of tension. Focus on it. 3, 2, 1, release. So all I'm doing is giving myself permission to do nothing. And to explore what that feels like. And to confirm the value of doing nothing. To reinforce the concept that doing nothing, just being, is as valid an approach to facing life as any of the other hundreds of things you do every day. Think about what you do every day. I'll talk about myself. I wake up, I go on the internet, I read the news, the headlines. I'll exercise, I'll eat, I'll watch some television, I'll eat some more, I'll go back on the internet. We're trying very hard now to fill our time. People say they're bored, people say they're antsy. So those are all valid, but I'm suggesting to you that there is an additional tool which you always have had, but you may have forgotten about, and that's focusing on your body, yourself, being in your own skin, the joy, the sheer joy and pleasure of feeling the beating of your heart, experiencing the power of your lungs, experiencing the throbbing sensation when your blood openly flows through your body into your limbs, oxygenating your organs and muscles, experiencing what it is to have a still, quiet mind. I'm suggesting to you that you might take the time to practice this as another way to face your day. And I would further suggest that it might be the most powerful tool in your life toolkit, because what it does is it makes you aware that you don't need anything external to make you feel good. The pleasure and satisfaction exists within you in just being. It's the original self. It's you before you had a title, before you had a job, before you had any money, before you had a reputation, before you had a personality, before you did anything. You were just you. It's you at your purest self. And when you can get back in touch with your purest self, you feel extremely satisfied and confident, because you know you exist. You're satisfied in just being. You're satisfied in being nothing except yourself. So it's a very powerful tool. And that's why I practice it myself, and that's why I highly recommend it, and that's why I share it, because I think we tend to forget that that is an option. I forget it. It's difficult for me to start this every time I do it. And you see, if you've been here since the beginning of the session, you see I'm always a little hyped up. I'm always talking a little too much, trying to explain a little too much, because I don't feel as though at that moment I can just be. It's not enough. I've got to teach something. I've got to explain something. I've got to say something. When the truth of the matter is, the whole point of this process is to come to a place where nothing is required of you at all, except to just be. Let's do it again. Clasp the hands together. On my count, 3, 2, 1, release. Feel the sensation of release pass through your body. Take a deep breath. Transport even more tension out of your body on that breath. And now 30 seconds of just being. If you find pockets of tension in this moment, give yourself your own count to release that tension incrementally. It's not a big obligation, just a tiny amount. We're just moving in the right direction. 30 seconds. So if this has value to you, if you feel a benefit from this, that's excellent. And I recommend that you practice it as frequently as you like. My sense is that the more I practice it, the more accessible it is, the more readily I get to a place of calm and centeredness, because I'm more familiar with the destination. It's like I've learned a song, and The more I practice, the better I know the lyrics and the melody. So I recommend practicing it frequently. But there's no obligation. There's nothing in this that I'm sharing with you that you don't already instinctively know. All I'm doing is recommending that you consider it as an option, as a tool in your life toolkit, and that you take advantage of the simplicity of just being and the incredible benefits to getting back in touch with yourself, with your body, with your being. In the balance, as I begin to experience myself and feel more settled in the moment in doing nothing, I find it harder and harder to justify continuing to speak or explain because it seems counter to that. Just being is a place where no explanation is necessary. No action is necessary. Just being gives you the freedom to just be. Let's do it again. Gently clasping the hands together. 3, 2, 1. Release. Let that sensation of release pass through your entire body. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Passing even more tension out of your body. And now 15 seconds of nothing. Pay attention to the beating of your heart. Deep breath. Another 15 seconds. I'm laughing because anyone coming into this late in the session would think this is crazy. I can think of a few places on the internet, either on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, where you go to just watch somebody do nothing. And that's what's so fascinating to me about the process. It's so counterintuitive to what's going on these days. Instead of offering you a thing, information, an object, an opportunity, an activity, something funny to watch, something interesting or sad to watch, what I'm offering you is the opportunity to do nothing, to join me in that process. And as crazy as it sounds, I think it has incredible value. That's what I've discovered. I'm fascinated by this process. I'm addicted to it. I'm always so surprised when I come to a place of stillness how satisfying it is. Because it's so opposite of what I'm conditioned to pursue in order to obtain satisfaction in my life. It's the complete opposite. And that fascinates me. Is it possible that the most satisfying thing in life could be to do absolutely nothing, but just be? And I'm not suggesting this as a substitute for anything you do that gives you satisfaction. I encourage everybody in the world to do the thing that makes you feel alive, active, satisfied, fulfilled. I'm just saying this is equally valid. This is an option which, even though it's counterintuitive, it's nothing we can go brag about. What did you do yesterday? You look great. What did you do yesterday? Nothing. Who wants to hear that? And yet, it works. A few more times and we'll call it a day. Gently squeezing the hands together. 3, 2, 1. Release. Let that sensation of release pass through your body. Remember, the process of scanning is, in actuality, a process of awareness. All these little techniques are a way to build awareness of the contrast between contraction and expansion so that you can incrementally increase the sensation of expansion in your muscles and your entire body, which will in turn lead to a clarity and openness of your mind. Deep breath. 30 seconds of nothing. Deep breath. You know my favorite 3 words? I don't know. When a topic comes up in conversation, when I'm with people and someone says, I don't know, it's thrilling to me because that's a person who's open to suggestions, to ideas, to concepts. They're not so overstuffed that they have no room for anything else. They are an open book. So openness, emptiness is where it all begins. If you can clear your mind, if you can wipe the slate clean, if you can relax your body and go to nothing, then the possibilities are endless. Physically, emotionally, and mentally. Two more times, gently squeezing the hands together. 3, 2, 1, release. Let that sensation of release pass through your body. If you find a pocket of tension somewhere in your body that's unique to you at this moment, focus on that tension and do your own count. 3, 2, 1 in my neck, release. 3, 2, 1 in my head, release. 3, 2, 1 in my shoulders, release. 3, 2, 1 in my feet, release. And you will find that once you've begun traveling down this road, you may get to a point where the body takes over. It just says, I got this. I see what you're doing. I know where you're going. Relax. I got this. And it will just begin to relax deeper and more deeply and more deeply. Get out of its way. Let it happen. You will fall into a state of relaxation that is so deep and so satisfying that you'll wonder why you ever didn't do this 20 times a day. It's almost addictive. It's just a place that you forgot you could go to. It's an area of your consciousness that you've lost touch with. And it's so beneficial. It's so much healthier and more powerful than a shot of whiskey or, smoking a joint or playing video games. And I'm not saying those things are bad. Those can be satisfying, incredibly satisfying. But this is a natural, healthy way to do it that takes very little time. And once you begin to experience it, and you will, you're going to want to come back. You will experience resistance because it's unfamiliar, and it never seems like this is going to help. It always seems like letting go always feels like you're losing control, or you're going to be bored or antsy. But the more you do it, the more you begin to understand that those initial sensations of resistance are okay. Just move past them into this deep, relaxed state. And savor it as part of your life, as a tool in your toolbox. Last time. Gently squeezing the hands together. 3, 2, 1, release. Let that sensation of release pass through your body. Searching out pockets of tension that you can release on your own. I'm going to go again to the neck. 3, 2, 1, release. Always follow the impulse to breathe. My back. 3, 2, 1, release. My chest. 3, 2, 1, release. My pelvic region. 3, 2, 1, release. My feet. 3, 2, 1, release. My face. 3, 2, 1, release. My entire body. 3, 2, 1, completely release. 30 seconds of stillness and observation. Deep breath. And that's it for today. I will typically repost every session immediately on Facebook if you came late and want to watch the whole session. I leave those up for 24 hours, at which point I delete them, or I may leave it up a little longer, but all of these sessions are reposted on the Facebook page for Sqanning, Sqanning, like scanning the body for tension, but with a Q, just to be cute. I also repost all sessions on YouTube. Same thing. The channel is called Sqanning, Sqanning. Thank you very much for visiting. I try to come and do these sessions 3 times a day, but typically I get them in around, thank you, Janet. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Around 11, 4, 8, 2 out of those 3 usually. I'll try to make an announcement to give you a little heads up, but you can come whenever you like, stay as long or as little as you like. The whole point of this is to show you how to do it for yourself, so you don't need to come back to these sessions again. It's a simple technique that can be learned in a minute and can be practiced for just a minute or 30 minutes or an hour, whatever you choose. I personally keep a log because I find it encourages me to see how much I've done it, because it is cumulative. The more you do this, it's like putting a dime in a piggy bank. It may not feel like much, but it adds up. And what eventually starts to happen is this sense of release starts to be more of a bigger part of your consciousness, so you carry it with you throughout the day. You'll be in a situation where perhaps you would be very tense, and you'll have a part of you that goes, you know, I can kind of relax here a little bit. I can release. I can expand. I have that tool, and I know that it feels good, and I know that it will be helpful. Not always. Be the first to admit, maybe 50% of the time I'm successful. That's why I practice it, because I want to get better. I would like this to become part of my basic nature. So I recommend practicing it, but the most important thing is if you've heard what I've said today and understand that it's something within you that you can do, even that, just knowing that feels better. We feel more like we have more control over our life and our emotions and our minds. So it's designed to be simple. And I hope you've enjoyed this, and if I've helped you in any way achieve a sense of calm, then I'm totally happy. So thank you again for joining me. I'll see you at the next lesson of Sqanning, Sqanning, the incremental release of muscular tension for the purpose of achieving a deep state of physical and mental calm. Have a great day. Bye.